So I think things have changed a bit. So I'm almost a fifth going on sixth year consultant. When I started training in vascular surgery, it was about 2007. And then I've been in a few different units around the East Midlands. And I think that there was a top-down culture. We're the bosses at the top. You are the juniors. You do what we tell you. And there was certainly aspects of, I think, genuinely bullying. And the consultants who were there, actually, when I speak to them about it, said they had gone through the same thing, and it was almost a rite of passage. That's how it was done. That's how it's always going to be done. And it's not just in vascular, it was in other specialties. It was, I saw in orthopedics, but not in every specialty, but it was certainly like that in vascular. And I think that's changing now as there's a new generation of people coming through who just, they don't behave like that. I think what's kind of accepted now is different to what would have been accepted, like I said, 15, 20 years ago. And I don't know where we work. I guess obviously I'm biased because I'm part of the consultant body, but I think we try to create a team that work well together, that are supportive of each other, colleagues and juniors and nurses and everyone, that we try to uplift people really to try and bring them through. And
Mhm.
part of that is because we also recognize that there is a shortage in the workforce. People don't naturally come out of medical school or any point really and say, I want to do vascular surgery. So the way we get people into the field is by giving them positive experiences.
Mm.
And that's not to deceive them, but that's because we know that they'll enjoy it more. They're likely to come back. And it's clear that if you have people that want to do it and enjoy it, they're going to do a good job and they're going to be good members of the team and then hopefully eventually good colleagues as well, because that's what we look for at some point.
You said that you really make an effort to help support people and uplift them. What does that look like?
So that looks like kind of closer mentoring, supervision, taking everybody individually. Some people you can just harshly, discipline and say that that wasn't good enough or that's thingy, and other people need an arm around the shoulder and
Mm.
looking out for people and trying to think about their, we talk about a holistic, but is there something else going on that's affecting them in their workplace? So trying to look at that. And actually, genuinely, when we assess people and we appraise them, and that's each other as well as our juniors, looking at ways to improve them rather than to kind of just crush their spirit. And again, I think some of that still happens in other units. Registrars who have been with us who have said, I came out of that unit with no confidence, unable to, make a decision. Everything was, zapped out of me as such. So trying to then build them up again to a position where they have the confidence, they can be trusted, etc., all that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely still happening. And I posted something last week actually about consultants grilling trainees at a handover. A couple of
Yeah.
people had said it to me, and they said, "Oh, yeah, it's just like they do it like it's a sport."
Yes.
I posted something about it. Yeah, it struck a nerve with people. You know,
Yeah.
both people like yourself sort of saying, "Oh, well, it definitely used to be like that, but I kind of thought it wasn't anymore because
Yeah.
we've moved to a better place." But also people saying, "Oh, yeah, that happens to me." And
Still happens. Yeah. And it must do because, like I said, I keep obviously I'm on the other side of the fence now, but I always thought that doesn't happen anymore because I don't see it. But clearly, if people are reporting it, it must be still happening. My colleague said that when she started, and even now, to me, it's shocking that something like this could happen. But she said even now, her senior colleagues won't speak to her. They don't look at her. They don't engage with her. So when she's got difficulties, she's got one or two people. She's in a body of 10 consultants. She's got one or two people she can go to. Where I work, we have first year consultants. Like I said, I'm an early years consultant. Like I said, a fifth or sixth year. We have people who are 10 years in, and we have people who are 25 years in.
Mhm.
And the beauty of it is, I think everybody is very much equal. And some of my very, very senior colleagues have got the insight to say, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. I need help with that. And we will go to them both ways. It works really, really well.
Mm. You know, hearing you talk about that, it just sounds like perfect, just how it
It's
should be.
genuineness. Yeah.
And, you know, I rarely hear that from
Oh,
people. I
it's a
much
shame, isn't
more
it?
often hear the other version.
I
That's
mean,
interesting.
as you
That's
said, we try to flatten it with our resident doctors as well, to the point that, if they come to an MDT, we will actively involve them and say, what do you think? And it's not to, because in the past I've been in that situation where people say, what do you think? But they're doing it to grill you and humiliate you, really, to a certain extent. But here, what we try and do is actually to get them engaged and to say, well, actually, you've been somewhere else, you've been in another center, you've done research in this. You might actually be better placed to tell us what, even though you're a resident, you might be better placed to tell us what do you think is the best thing to do here. And that to flatten it even further, like I said, not just flatten it amongst consultants, but flatten it amongst the
Yeah.
juniors.
Yeah, and that's so different, isn't it? What do you think is a perfectly reasonable question, and
Yeah,
that's training as well, isn't it? You're going to have to say
yeah,
what you think, but what do you think is different from you? What do you think? And what is
yeah,
so straight away? And
yeah,
it's totally different. And
definitely. And
it's
it's
all
how you
about
approach it.
where you're coming from, isn't it? Whether you're coming from a genuine, wanting to know what someone thinks, or whether you're just you're asking them because they don't know, and you just want to
Yeah,
put them up.
yeah,
Which is
absolutely. Now we've got more people coming through who are of a newer generation. They have broken some of the old culture. Although, as of what you're saying, maybe not true, but
It depends perhaps how rigid it feels. I mean, I
mm,
think I agree with you. Yes, in many ways it's happening, and in other places it isn't happening, which for me is part of the reason for this project, because it's like if teams can operate like yours, so
yeah.
why isn't everybody doing it?
And actually, I've got to, credit to my very senior colleagues. Like I said, there's some of them are 66, 67 years old, so they've been consultants for 25 years, but credit to them. We've come in, some of the younger lot, and made all these changes, and they've not at all kicked back or made a fuss or anything. They're like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's try that. Let's do that. They've just gone on board with it. And that's, I mean, we talk about choosing good colleagues and, you work with these people, spend more time with them than your own family. But I think that makes a difference
Mm. The willingness to change, the
to embrace
willingness
change. Yeah.
and that shows a certain self-confidence to say, okay, well, I might have done it this way, but that maybe there's a better way,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
another way. Whereas I think that these people who are really authoritarian, that looks very confident, but actually that comes from a place of insecurity in the end.
Absolutely.